So in this video, I'll be taking you through some new developments released earlier today regarding the behaviour of Jay Slater shortly before he disappeared. What I'll be doing for you next is playing some short clips from the former detective Mark Williams Thomas. He has released an update earlier this morning. We're going to go through those clips in a little bit of detail, and after which I'll be sharing some of my own thoughts.
On the morning of the 17th of June, on arrival back to the rental, Jay spoke to a number of different people on his phone, and they would describe him as very much awake and still buzzing. As a result of information we've received, we now know that Jay took certain actions whilst at the rental because he was clearly worried about his own safety, and this was shortly before he decided to leave.
Okay, let's just cut in here very briefly. Jay took certain actions whilst at the Airbnb because he was worried about his safety. Now, those certain actions, they can only be sending a text message or making a phone call to a friend, can't it, realistically? Jay took certain actions whilst at the Airbnb because he was worried about his safety. Well, clearly he's told someone about that. This has then been relayed onto Mark Williams Thomas, the guy in the video. And surely you would imagine that involves or entails either a text message or a phone call. I don't feel great. I don't feel good here. I need to go. I don't feel safe.
We've still not found evidence of a third-party criminal involvement in Jay's disappearance.
So on one hand, we have the possibility that this individual was fearful. He was scared for his safety. But on the other hand, on the flip side of that, there's nothing at this stage to suggest third-party criminality or third-party involvement. So what does that leave us with? Does that leave us with the suggestion or the possibility that Jay was simply a little bit worse for wear? That he was paranoid? That he was still under the influence somehow of the drink and drugs from the evening before? He wandered off, he took a wrong turn, he cut across open land. Is that really possible? Is it a possibility? Is it the most likeliest possibility at this stage? I would still say no. And the reason for that is because when we go back and we remember what was said by the owner of the Airbnb, the lady who owns this Airbnb, she saw Jay on 2 occasions that morning. She saw him as he came out of the Airbnb, and she saw him about 15 minutes later walking up the hill. Now, in nowhere in her statement did she say, well, he looked a bit worse for wear, he was stumbling across the road, he wasn't walking straight, he looked a bit, disorientated. She doesn't say that. She said he seemed fine, and he was walking at a swift pace. We also need to factor in, quite clearly, the 2 conversations that Jay had that morning with his 2 friends, people who knew this individual. Not one of them, as in Lucy and Brad, neither of those individuals said, well, he wasn't quite right, he wasn't himself, he was chatting a load of rubbish, he was paranoid, he was saying all this, that and the other. None of them said that. None of them said he was completely disorientated, that he was completely off his head. None of them said that. One of them said they had a fairly jovial, light-hearted conversation. They were laughing about stuff. The other person said he was thirsty and he tripped over a cactus. There's absolutely nothing to suggest that Jay was in such a poor frame of mind or such a poor state of mind that he was imagining what was taking place around him, that he was having some sort of attack of paranoia. There's nothing at all to suggest that. There's nothing to back that up. As I said in yesterday's video, the important thing here is where Jay went and why he chose that direction. It's his behaviour upon leaving the property and what happened next. That gives you the clue as to what has happened inside the Airbnb, because at this point there are, as I said yesterday, a multitude of possibilities as to what took place inside that Airbnb rental. We simply don't know. But what we can say with a fair deal of certainty is that Jay wanted out. He wanted to get out of there. He was making his excuses. The guy turns around, he's got his shoes on. Where are you going? I'll give you a lift. No, it's all right. He wanted to go. And in my opinion, he didn't want to be found. And that doesn't mean he doesn't want to be found by the whole entire world. He doesn't want to be found by the people at the Airbnb for whatever reason. Now, what are the possibilities here? Has something happened to Jay inside the Airbnb which has been put onto him? Or has Jay done something himself where he feels he needs to leave? As I said yesterday, that part about the phone charger just sticks in my head. Yeah, go on, pop into my mate's room. He's asleep. Go and get the phone charger. He's gone into that room. most likely by himself, and has he seen something else? He's taken it, maybe he's messaged a friend, look what I've got to get out of here. I don't know. Pure speculation on my behalf. I'm just trying to work out why he's been so keen to leave that property and then not go anywhere near it afterwards. Because the impression you get when you look at the route he took after leaving the Airbnb, it's almost as if he goes up the hill and then he cuts off and he's trying to go around it. He doesn't want to go back down the hill past the Airbnb. That's my own interpretation. That he's gone up the hill and he thinks, right, I'm not getting anywhere up here. I'm going to cut across. I'm going to go around it. He doesn't want to go back there. Remember the phone call. Just go back there. Just go back to the Airbnb. I can't go back there. He could have gone back there. He just turned around and walked back down the hill. He didn't want to be seen by those two individuals. And we need to ask the question, why? Why was he so keen to stay away from that place? Is it because, as I say, he did something himself? He's taken something, and at that point, you're committed to that course of action. You can't go back 30 minutes later and say, oh, I'm sorry, mate, this was in my pocket. You can't do that, can you? Or is it something which took place that happened to him inside that place, inside that Airbnb, which facilitated his desire to leave? I've got to get out of here. I'm not comfortable. I want to get out. And I guess it all depends really, doesn't it, on the content of those messages. One of my concerns with this case, though, is that there is so much noise about this happened, that happened, this happened 2 weeks earlier, this person's involved, this person's done this person's done that. And I guess my biggest concern here is that this information regarding Jay feeling afraid for his safety or taking actions to demonstrate that, I just hope that Mark Williams Thomas has seen something of substance. Has he seen an actual text message? Has someone said, look, this is what Jay sent me. This is like 20 minutes before he was about to leave, 5 minutes before he was about to leave. He wasn't feeling comfortable. He was afraid for X, Y, and Z reasons. He wanted to leave. But he didn't mention that, did he? He just said, we've had information, I've had information. And I just hope with all the voices in this case, that there is something of substance to this, that he's actually seen something of evidential value, a text message, a voicemail, a Snapchat, something which actually tells you that this event actually happened.
In the last few days, I've received a significant new piece of information, which I've shared with both the British and Spanish police. This provides some clarity as to why he may have left in a hurry and did not want to return to the rental, even though his phone was about to go flat.
Now, again, when I hear those words, a significant piece of information, which gives us clarity on why he would want to leave, the only thing that I can think of is that he has taken something. And as bad as this sounds, it's almost like he's seen an opportunity, he's done something, and then he can't go back. He can't go back on that. He can't come back from that. He has to leave. He has to stay hidden. He has to stay away from those individuals at the Airbnb. And again, this is just pure speculation here, but it's exactly what I said yesterday. An event which may have been caused by Jay, which has then led him to feel that he needs to leave. I mean, what event could have happened inside that place, which would have given clarity to suggest that, yes, actually, yeah, that's a good reason he would need to leave because of that? I don't know. However, if there was some sort of valuable item, there's a lot of talk about a watch being stolen, or, why did they even drive for 50 minutes? What exactly was being kept at that property? Did Jay see an opportunity? He took it, and then he had to leave. He showed his friends, look what I've got, look what I'm doing, I've got to get out of here. Is that what happened? Or, as I said earlier, was something forced upon him which made him feel uncomfortable? So what I'll do for you now is play this clip from Mark Williams Thomas unedited so you can get the full context regarding this latest development.
The coming Monday will mark 4 weeks since Jay Slater went missing in Tenerife. Firstly, thank you to all of you who have made contact with information, either via email or direct messaging on social media. All of those messages have been read and noted. Overwhelmingly, people have wanted to share their own theories or tell us about something they've seen on social media or read online. I can assure you that we are monitoring the social media platforms and Facebook groups, so there is no need to contact us regarding anything you've read or seen online. Amongst these many contacts, we have received valuable information that we've been able to turn into useful intelligence and evidence. I would urge again an appeal for anybody who had contact with Jay in the last 48 hours before his disappearance to please get in contact. We've now had the opportunity to speak with or obtain information from nearly all the people that we know in the hours and days leading up to his disappearance. However, there are still a few we've not yet spoken to, and I would urge them to get in contact so that they can be ruled out of the investigation. Of those people we have spoken to, we are aware that not everything they have told us will be the truth. There are a number of reasons for this, including their own involvement in criminal activity. However, it must also be said that some of Jay's closest friends have fully engaged with us and discussed things that could cause them to be unfairly judged by the public. On the morning of the 17th of June, on arrival back to the rental, Jay spoke to a number of different people on his phone, and they would describe him as very much awake and still buzzing. As a result of information we've received, we now know that Jay took certain actions whilst at the rental because he was clearly worried about his own safety, and this was shortly before he decided to leave. In the last few days, I've received a significant new piece of information, which I've shared with both the British and Spanish police. This provides some clarity as to why he may have left in a hurry and did not want to return to the rental, even though his phone was about to go flat. I know the internet is awash with theories. Some are massively wild speculation. Others have elements of the truth, but overwhelmingly, many are just made up. We are uniquely placed, having spoken to nearly all the key witnesses, to cross-check their accounts and evidence, thus building the clearest picture. We know that Jay was on his phone and alone at 08:50 on Monday the 17th of June, walking on a track just off the main road, about 30 minutes walk from the apartment. It was a cold, damp morning, only 18 degrees, with a high of that day only reaching 20. The evidence we've been able to collect, including the significant new intelligence, strongly supports that Jay is therefore most likely to be in or around the mountains. We suspect some distance from the last phone location drop. Even after extensive searching done by highly experienced personnel, the rugged and dangerous areas, it's just not possible to rule out that he isn't still there. We've still not found evidence of a third-party criminal involvement in Jay's disappearance, although we have opened up links with dangerous criminal underworld of drugs and associated crime. We have a number of outstanding actions that still require completing and remain open-minded with our investigation. I would like to appeal again for any parties involved in their own searches to share their data with us so we can compile an accurate map showing the areas that still need searching. Our thoughts remain with Jay's family and friends.
So let me know down in the comments section below, do you simply believe that this is just a case of a teenager being a bit worse for wear, maybe feeling a little bit paranoid due to being under the influence from drink and drugs the evening before? He simply wandered out of this Airbnb, taken a wrong turn, and then he's just disappeared. Is that a possibility? Is that the most likely scenario here? Or are we looking at someone who may have done something in that Airbnb which meant he needed to escape? He needed to get out of there. He needed to cut across open land, go around the Airbnb where he wouldn't be seen. One thing's for sure, he wasn't very keen, was he, on going back there? I don't want to go back. I can't go back. I can't go back. He didn't want to turn round and go back down the road, which would have been the easiest route to safety. He decides to cut across into the mountainous terrain and try and go almost around the side of that Airbnb without being seen, in my opinion. Or is it a situation where something has been forced upon him, where he hasn't felt comfortable, leading him to reach out to his friends saying, I don't feel good here, I don't feel comfortable here, I need to get out? Let me know some of your own thoughts and theories down in the comments section below. As always, many thanks for joining me for this particular video. I look forward to seeing you all again for the next one. Take care. Cheers.